What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the Thomas Gallery, and today this is going to be a good one right here. For those who can't tell, this is Dave Chappelle from Washington D.C. Washington Hospital Center. He was born in Washington Hospital Center, the same hospital I was born in. And this one I've been wanting to draw for a good minute. I attempted to draw Dave Chappelle before, but it didn't come out right, and I got irritated and frustrated with it. Excuse me. So I just said forget it. But now I'm ready to go ahead and tackle this. I'm ready for it. So yeah, he is like my top 5 favorite comedians ever. His intellect, his his style of comedy is very unique. No one sounds like him. Literally, no one sounds like him. Like his voice is very distinctive, and I'm always big on having a distinctive voice. Like if you want to stand out, you gotta have something that is distinctive about you. And one of the things that's distinctive about Dave Chappelle is his voice. His voice is literally unique. He doesn't sound like Bernie Mac. Like Bernie Mac's voice, when you hear his voice, the way he speaks, you know it's him. And there's just no doubt about it. You know that's Bernie Mac. Same thing with Dave Chappelle. When he speaks, you know that's him speaking. And you can tell if someone else is trying to copy the way he speaks. So I got hit to Dave Chappelle a long time ago. I remember seeing him on Star Search, but I didn't realize that was actually him on Star Search, like a long time ago. And I also remember seeing him on Def Comedy Jam, the original Def Comedy Jam. You see him? We did a joke about he had to rob like he was a Domino's pizza delivery person, and he was the one robbing the people because they was going to bad neighborhoods, so he had to carry a gun with him, and he ended up having to rob the people that he was delivering the pizza to. And he was like, "Hey, get back! And one of you motherfuckers is gonna tip me." And he was always funny to me. Then I remember seeing when he played on The Night Professor. He played the comedian telling jokes on Professor Clump. And of course, like his funniest character was the dude on when he played dude on what was it, Half Baked. The dude that had a little fake, had, the crazy looking dread cornrows in his head, and that Dr. Chatty the back again. And Dave Spell's character was telling a story about how the dude got high and he was telling his whole story. And he slept with my mama. Why? The doctor said I need a back anatomy. I was like, what is a back anatomy? If you're listening, help. And of course, the Chappelle Show. The Chappelle Show was, in my opinion, one of the top 5 funniest shows ever made. And that's black, white, whatever. The Chappelle Show was, in my opinion, one of the top 5 funniest shows ever made. My favorite episode from the Chappelle show wasn't even like the everybody knows like the Vic James and the Prince episode. Of course, that makes sense. But my favorite Chappelle show episode was actually the Black George Bush. The Black George Bush was my favorite episode from that show. It was with oil. It wasn't oil. Oh, bitch, you cooking? I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. Five. One, two, three, four, fifth. Man. And of course, he did the Making the Band. He played Diddy. And he's responsible for a lot of phrases and things like that. Like just his characters are iconic. Then, of course, he left and left the show and all that. Like that. That was like when Chappelle show ended. That was actually like a sad moment in TV history. People don't want to recognize that, but when Chappelle show ended, that was like actually like a sad moment in TV. It was because he left. The show ended at the height because the season two. It was 3 seasons. Season two was the Prince episode and all that stuff. And season one was a shock. Season one shocked people. Because I think the first episode was the Clayton Bigsby, the blind black Klansman. I think that was actually the very first episode, and that shocked people. And apparently Comedy Central let it fly. Like, all right, you let it fly. All right. So I think that was actually like a shocker. Then you had season two. I think season two was the one that had the Rick James episode and the Prince episode, and those those episodes from that season were like I don't think well I mean like because a lot of people probably like a lot of youth now weren't old enough to remember the Chappelle show, and even though it wasn't like extremely long ago, a lot of kids now were very young when that show came out, so they probably really couldn't understand the significance of that show. But I remember very well that show, and when you see the Rick James skit and the Prince skit, and then the whole was like, is that a real story? Is that a real story? So when that episode came out, when those episodes came out, and before Rick James and Prince passed away, people were asking around like, is that a real episode? Is that a real story? Like, are those stories true? And when you find out that those stories actually were true, based off of Charlie Murphy, because Charlie Murphy was the one telling the stories. Based off Charlie Murphy telling the stories, and Rick James, and Dave Chappelle bringing those stories to light, it was so. The stories were so crazy that you couldn't possibly believe that a human being did all those things. And then when they showed pictures of Rick James and Charlie Murphy back then, like the same outfit and all that stuff, you're like, oh crap, that was a real story. Like that, like these are legit stories. These like Rick James really did do this stuff. And Charlie Murphy and Prince really could, man. And I I knew Prince could play basketball because I saw pictures of him like in his younger days playing basketball. But yeah, man, like, and what makes Dave Chappelle so great to me is that his style of storytelling isn't a typical linear story. Like he'll tell a story and the story will pull you along. It'll have you, going. It'll you take a trip with him. And with Dave, when you think that the story is going one way, like you think you can predict how the story is going to go, but then he'll hit you with a random punchline that takes the story left field, and it's almost like you were shocked into the punchline. Like it was the story he told about. The story starts off from his new comedy special. The story starts off how you talk about drugs and teenage, culture in the 1940s and after World War II and all that stuff, and how the people were coming home, men were coming home from the war, and how you had like the baby boomers, and with the baby boomers you had baby boomers grew up in the '60s to be the hippie movement, and he's like, a new thought process was being developed at that time. No one ever really thought to really say, go against the establishment, because the parents who were the war generation, World War II and all that stuff, they were like, you're gonna grow up to do this, this, and this. And the baby boomers of that day was like, no, I'm not gonna do this. I wanna be an individual, I'm not gonna really go with the status quo. So and he talks about how during that time in the '60s, drugs at an all-time high were being introduced. So you had a drug, LSD was being introduced into college campuses, and then you had like the civil rights movement, which was the bloodiest time in American history, and all these deaths of these leaders being killed. Kennedy, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, all that stuff, and a new thought, a new way of thinking was being introduced, and during the '60s and '70s, he's like, and during all this time, and the punchline is, after all this time, he said, and during all this time, Bill Cosby raped 37 women. And the punchline was so crazy because the punchline was so left field of the story he was telling. Everybody thought that he was telling a story about, the climate in the '60s and the '70s. And he was. He's talking about drugs, being introduced, and a new train of thought. The teenagers of that day, the baby boomers, were going against their parents and philosophies and all that stuff, and civil unrest, and just chaos was everywhere, and free love and the hippie movement and all that stuff. He's like, during all of this, and all this time, Bill Cosby raped 37 women. And the punchline was just it was amazingly shocking, because you had the audience thinking one way, but he pulled the rug right up from under you and had you thinking something else. Like, oh crap, yeah, because like if you think about it, during that time in the '70s, that's when this whole allegation thing started with Bill Cosby and the rape charges. So for him to do that during all of this, like during all this stuff going on in the '60s and the '70s, he's like that's Bill Cosby was doing all of this stuff at that same time, and nobody was prepared for that. Nobody was ready for that move right there. When I heard that joke, I said, "Oh my God, he is a genius." Because usually I'm pretty good at knowing when the punchline is coming for a joke because you know when you have a certain mentality yourself, you can kind of get on one accord with the comedian. But with Dave Chappelle, you can't predict his punchlines. You don't know when they're coming, and his punchlines aren't regular punchlines. Like his punchline can be in the middle of the joke. His punchlines can literally be in the middle of the joke, and it could be so subtle that you really wouldn't hear it until you heard like the next line after that, and then it will make you go back to what he said before. You're like, oh crap. So if you think about the joke I just told you that he said about the whole Bill Cosby thing, it was based around the drugs of that day. Like they were trying, LSD and all that stuff, and he's like, you think about it, the drugs that he was talking about in that joke were some of the drugs that it was said that Bill Cosby used. So for him to tie in that along with the the content of the joke, I was like this dude is otherworldly. This man is like he's otherworldly. Like no one can tell a joke like him. So there's a lot of comedians who are very good storytellers, but don't really tell but the punchline isn't there, or people who tell really good jokes but can't tell a good story. He could tell a great story and end it with a powerful punchline. Like, where you get that from? Where else do you get that from? Coming out like it's coming out. Like it's coming out. Trying to find the right mixture. Let's do it like this. bits. Sorry, I got quiet real quick. I'm just concentrating. Damn, his comedy specials, "Killing Me Softly" was a classic that he did in DC, which I had known about that. Man. But I mean, shoot, DC is known for their comedians. Martin Lawrence, Tommy Davidson, Dave Chappelle, Red Grant, known for comedians, known for funny. And I didn't even know that she was born in Washington Hospital Center, born in the same hospital as me. Of course, he was born earlier than I. Born in the same house as me, Washington Hospital Center. When I heard him say that, I was like, oh snap! I knew he's from DC, but yeah, yeah. So I got excited. Here we go. Man, add some more accent to it. I don't know what it is about people from DC and comedians, but there's a lot of great comedians out of DC that's been come out of DC. Like it's like musicians and comedians are abundant in DC. I don't know why, but it just mm-mm. Let's see here. And think about the fact that he's from DC. I wonder during his early years and stuff, did that ever? I mean, because he started stand up at Dave Chappelle started stand up at age 14. Now, like I said he's older than I am, so obviously we probably wouldn't be hanging around the same people. We most likely won't be. But like, I wonder if I ever like passed him or something, just in DC in general. Because being from DC, you do see a good a recognizable face and a known name every now and then. People from DC will know who they are. Like meeting Sugar Bear playing time. Like so people from DC know when I say Sugar Bear, they know who I'm talking about. Chuck Brown, even though he's not from DC, but he's a staple in Washington DC. Rest in peace to Chuck Brown. Always ones like that that I've passed across before. Because DC is a small city. Like, a lot, everybody know everybody. Chances are, like somebody's family know somebody else's family in DC. So this is all right. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Dave Chappelle. I ain't do the background, so I ain't want to do that. Thank you all for watching this video. Leave a comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. I will catch you all later. Peace.